That's a great job.
Thank you very much. Now, did anybody bring a book? We were going to try to sell something. You have one?
Yeah.
Okay. We obviously didn't set anything up. So what I want you to do is, will you do me a favor? Take this little paper ball and just toss it to somebody you don't know.
Remind me when you...
Have we met before?
We have not.
We have not met before. Lend me your book just for a second. Well, I'm going to take my life into my hands. Can I borrow you? Lend me the book. So the idea is, this is something new that we're working on here. This is a book I haven't read, but I'll go through the book and we're going to bookmark a page, all right? So if you could do me a favor and just say stop anytime you want.
Stop.
Right there, you're sure?
Sure.
You sure you want to bookmark it right there? Okay, look at the first word on that page. Have you got it?
Yes.
All right, now, you have it in your mind. Is there any way I can know what that word is?
I wouldn't think so.
You wouldn't think so, would you? Right, you can hold on to your book. Okay. All right, you're thinking of the word. I'm going to read your mind. I'm going to read your mind. I'm getting the impression that it's, gosh, this is something wonderful. It's something wonderful. I'm going to try and get this right now. Wouldn't it be something if I got this? This would be kind of crazy. It'd be really crazy. It'd be something. It'd be something. Is the word something?
It is.
Isn't that something? Whoa. What is You know what's even weirder? If you open that piece of paper, now bear in mind, this is your book. You brought it with you. Would you open up the piece of paper for me? And is it something written on the paper that you have right there? It's a miracle! Something. Who knew? Appropriate book. Kurt Vonnegut, Hocus Pocus. But there's not one card trick in it. It's rubbish. Okay, so we're going to use this now. Before I come over here, I had a premonition and it wore off, so I had another one. And what I did was I wrote something on this little piece of paper right here. And I want. Will you do me a favor? We'll talk about that later. But first, just put your initials on the. Put your initials on there. I'll hold it. I'll hold it. You just put your initials on the premonition, on the prediction. Now, in the premonition, I was naked and you were in a tutu. Does that ring a bell?
Yes. The other night.
Okay, put that in your pocket so that we can't, I can't switch that out and you can't switch it out. That's really important, all right? And then I'll go through the book and you just tell me to stop anytime you feel the urge, okay? Actually, I'll just run it like this. Just say stop. Stop. Right there? Okay. Do you have any idea what page you stopped on?
No.
Or would you have a look at the first word for me? You got it? Yep. In fact, look at the page number. You got that too? Would you put your initials on the corner of the page there? Take the Sharpie, just put your initials on the corner of the page. Got it? This is just so that you can't change it. Sometimes I have people look at words and then they change their mind and it screws me up. All right, so now you're thinking of a page in a book. Is there any way I can know what word you chose?
No.
Is there any way I can know what page you chose?
No.
And yet I gave you a premonition, right? Okay, what was the page number?
210.
210. And the word was? George. This is really strange. Take out the piece of paper from your pocket. It's been in your pocket the entire time. It has your initials on it, so nothing's been switched. Can I grab it? Look, it's written on this piece of paper is George. But here's what's weird. The book is called Hocus Pocus, and there's kind of a magical theme, and I thought, I can't just end on George. Maybe I could do something really crazy. Open up the book to page 210. It'll be easy to find. It's the one that you initialed. Oh, that's weird. It's gone? You know, this is Kurt Vonnegut's sense of humor. This is, wait a second, what the heck happened here? Here, do me a favor, just hold it like that for me, would you? You could be my beautiful girl assistant. Typecasting. Look, you initialed that page yourself. This isn't my wallet, this belongs to a guy in the bathroom. But inside, I think I have a little piece of paper that looks astonishingly like the page from a book. Would that be your initials?
Yep.
And just to prove it actually came from right here. Woo! Perfect.
Wow.
Thank you. Now you're going to need this when you read the book. Yeah, I'll keep it as a souvenir.
Cool, man. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Stop.
Okay, have a look at first word on the, call out the page number, would you?
114.
114. Would you look at the first word on that page? Have you got it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I got this book memorized actually. So if I remember rightly, 114. The word is. Hold on to the book just for a second. 114. The word is cash.
Yes.
Is that right? It's a memory test. Open up the book to page 114 and let's see what... Oh, not again. Is that the only one that's ripped out of the entire book? Look at this. This is 114 is gone from the book. I don't know what could possibly happen to the...
Oh, God.
You want to do me a favor? You want to just unpin it? We want to make sure this is the actual page after all. Let me see. Page 100. I would give you this book, but I've read it and you shouldn't read it. Right, so now the reason that I brought you here today is, first of all, we're here in Zhenya's home, and what's your name, Zhenya?
Zhenya.
Isn't that fabulous? I'm obviously rather psychic. Obviously very crazy. Got a little book here, Savages. Have you read the book?
No.
Okay, good. That'll be perfect. And also, I'm going to ask you a little question. Do you believe in ghosts?
Sometimes.
Because we're going to use one in tonight's show. You see, I have this little spirit guide. Her name is Tituba, and she was the first witch to be burned back in Salem. She's young, she can't read, and she writes a little bit, and she's rather prankish, but together, I thought maybe with Tituba's help, we could create something really unusual. And that's one of the reasons why I chose the book Savages. Okay, so we've got Savages, we have a pen, we also have, this isn't mine, Tituba stole this from somebody. She's a little, like I said, she's a little prankish. The first thing I want you to do before we do anything else, is there anything on this piece of paper?
Just right. No, there's nothing.
There is nothing on this piece of paper. Would you fold it up? Just pop it back inside the wallet for me. Here we go. We'll keep it nice and tidy. Okay, and would you sit down on the wallet? Oh wait, before you do that, I want you to put your initials on there. Put your initials on the paper.
Like inside?
Yeah, no, just on the outside, so you'll recognize it if you haven't seen it yet. She's going to initial the paper. That's great. Now close up the wallet, put it underneath your butt.
Okay.
That way, Tituba's got a challenge. Okay? I don't know what that means. Okay, so I'm going to have you choose a word. We're going to bookmark a page for Tituba.
Okay.
And the way that we do this is very simple. I simply take this.
Okay.
And I'll take one of the cards and I'll just run it along the pages like this. And you just say stop anytime you feel the urge.
Stop.
Right there, are you sure?
Mm-hmm.
Do it again, sorry.
Stop.
Right there. Now we can go further, we can go back, whatever you want to do.
Stay there.
You want to stay there? You're sure? You can change your mind.
No.
It's a lady's prerogative. Okay, you got it? Alright, so have a look at the first word on the page. Do you have it? You have it in your mind? And look at the page number. Can you memorize that as well? So you've got a page number and you have a word. Right. So let's think about this for a second. You could have stopped me anywhere in the book, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And I want you to concentrate on the word that you're thinking of. Focus on the word and we'll see if Tituba can write that word on the piece of paper in the wallet that you're sitting on. You might feel a little something. Oh, wow. Okay, this is weird. Sometimes Tituba gets a little prankish and she's like doing this down my back. Wow, that's kind of strange. She's scratching my back. Is the word scratching?
Yes.
Yes? Wow. That is so freaky. Well, let's see if she wrote the, take out the piece of paper. That's the piece of paper that you folded, you put it in the wallet yourself,
Yes,
you initialed it.
What?
Did she get the word on the paper? Oh, well, I guess in some way she did.
Oh, that's impossible.
Wait, this is the page from the book. Well, it's the page from a book, page 256. Would you just turn to page 256, just to confirm? I mean, you could have stopped anywhere in the... Whoa. Check that out, people.
How did you do that?
That's Tituba's idea of a prank. But you know what's really wonderful? Is it's a really great book, and you get to take it home and keep it as a souvenir.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's crazy. It's just nuts. I just had it in my hands.
Right? Boom. Zhenya, have you recovered from the previous trip?
Not really.
Oh, good, because we're going to move on to the next one.
Okay.
I want want you to, I know what you're thinking, that was my book, maybe there's something tricky about it, although you did get to keep it as a souvenir. So I want you to run into the library over there and pick any book you want.
Okay.
Okay?
Sure.
We'll come back in a second. And we're back. And Jenya took 45 minutes to go through a library and pick a book. What book do you have? The Perils of Payela. Have you read that book?
Not really. It's just
Perfect.
there lying on the shelf.
Okay, great. It looks normal to you?
Yes.
Do I look normal to you?
Not really.
No, she's a good judge of character. Before I came out today, I had a premonition, and it wore off, so I had another one. And what I did was I saw this word, it was really strange, and I wrote it on this piece of paper.
Okay.
And what I'd like you to do is to take that and put it somewhere on your person where I can't get to it, okay?
Well, I see.
I think we've set up a precedent here. This is fabulous.
Well,
so I'm going to go through the book, and here's what's going to happen. I'm going to turn my head away, because I've seen this before, okay? I'm going to turn my head, as I riffle through the book, you just get to say stop anytime you want.
Stop.
Now, are you sure you want to stop there? Right.
No, let's do it one more time.
One more time? Okay, further?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead and say stop it.
Stop.
Are you sure you want to stop there?
Yes.
We can go further.
That's fine.
I've driven behind you. I know. Really, are you sure? You don't want to go any further?
Yes.
Stop. All right, okay. I'm going to show you the first word on the page, and we're going to do this really quick, because last time, I don't know if you thought maybe I saw a reflection in your eyes or something like that, okay? So here's what you do. Take a look at the first word on the page. Do you have it?
My finger down.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, now I have it.
Got my finger in the way. I'm trying to make life hard for you. That's what it is. All right, so you have it, right? You
Yes.
have the word in your mind.
Yes.
Is there any way that I could possibly have known the word that you are thinking of?
Now I have no idea.
Let's recap just for a second. Did you go and pick a word? Did you go and pick a book from a library of books?
I did.
And is it a normal book?
Yeah.
And did you stop anywhere you wanted to in the book?
I did. Well, probably
Couple of
I didn't, because you moved me from
You
one
think I
page to
controlled
another.
you? Maybe I did. Hey, maybe I have that kind of power over women. No, I'm a magician. I don't. But you're thinking of the word, and I want you to focus. Would you please tell everyone here at home the name of the word that you're thinking of? Just tell
You
everyone.
will know.
All right. I'll see what I can do. I will read your mind. If there's anything you don't want me to know, get it out of your mind right now. Okay, I'm not going to read your mind because it's tricky. Instead, I'm going to just see if I can figure out what it is that you're thinking of, what it is that you just looked at. Because this is where the power is, right? Because anybody can read a mind. You can read minds, but most people's minds aren't worth reading. Or if you're reading a guy's mind, he's thinking about sex every 7 seconds. It gets really icky. So what I think we'll do is, I'm just going to see if I can kind of focus through the back of your head and see if I can look at get the word that you're thinking of, that you looked at. See if I can visualize your eyes, what you were looking at. We flipped through the book. Yeah, I'm seeing it now. I'm seeing through your eyes, and I'm seeing that we stopped and then we moved again. And it's a 4-letter word. It's a 4-letter word, but sometimes it's a 3-letter word. Am I right?
Oh my god. Yes.
It's a 4-letter word and a 3-letter word, probably because it's a plural, because there's more than one.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right? I'm getting the impression it's my arms are hurting. Is it arms? Is it arms?
Yes.
It is. It's arms.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Ow.
I don't know. It's freaking me out. But here's what's really strange. You could have chosen any book, and yet any page and any word, and yet. Do you remember that prediction that you're sitting?
Yes.
Would you take it out from beneath your butt? Even that sounds proper when you say it with an English accent. Beneath your butt. Look, right here. Pull off the paperclip. This is the prediction. This was underneath your butt the entire time.
It was.
The word you chose from the book was?
Arms. I don't get it. Like, I just don't get it.
There you go. You can keep that as a souvenir as well, but you can't have the book because I haven't finished reading it yet. That we can take that with you as well. All good. And that is booked. So here's the deal. All right, you just have to say stop anytime. I'm going to try and keep my head away. Say stop.
Stop.
Now, you want to go any further? Are you happy with that?
Okay.
Mas?
Stop.
Right there? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Are you positive?
Positive.
Is there any way I could have known what page number you were going to choose? No, I don't. I have no idea. But what I do need you to do is come over here real close. I'm going to flash you the first word on the page. I just want you to have a quick look at it. Have you got it? Yeah. You got it? First word. Look at the first word. Got it?
Yeah.
Got my finger in the way?
Yeah.
Okay. That doesn't help. All right. So you have the word, right?
Yeah.
Concentrate, look me in the eyes, look me in the eyes, and I'm going to see if I can get the word. Am I right in saying it's got to do with fire? It has to do with fire. Does it have to do with cigarettes? Would the word be smoked?
Yes, right.
Now remember, this is any book, right? Open up that piece of paper that's been on the table the whole time. What's it say? Okay, this is, anyone read this book, Lake House by James Patterson? It's about kids with special powers. It's pretty cool. Kids can fly, walk through walls. It's pretty amazing. Read minds. It's a great book. This is the premonition. I sealed it inside an envelope here, and then what I would like you to do, would you do, what's your name, sir?
Sure.
Have we met before?
No.
No, all right. We haven't set anything up, right?
Nope.
Would you take this marker, just put your initials on the thing right there. That would be very good. Thank you. And then we'll hand this to someone. Would you hold on to this for me? Put it in your back pocket. So it's marked so we can't switch it. Put it in your pocket. That would be great. And then let me see. Who hasn't worked yet? Who wants to do something here? Come over here. What's your name?
Sasha.
Sasha, would you pick up the pen for me? Sasha, I want you to say stop. We're going to bookmark a page, okay? Just say stop.
Stop.
Right here. You sure? Do you want to change to another page? You okay? Would you please call out the page number?
224.
224. And would you put your initials on the corner of the page? Go ahead, just pop your initials on there. That way we'll recognize it later on. And you can't change your mind on me. Okay, and what is the first word? No, don't tell me. Look at it. Look at the first word. Because I actually had this memorized. If I'm right, then page 224, and there's a 400-page book. 200, would you hold on to this for a sec? 224 is, the word is strong. Yeah, strong. And that's, I know. Ooh, hush silence. In your pocket over here, you have a prediction. Check this out, people. Inside this envelope is a piece of paper. Is that your initials?
Yes.
We have not switched it out. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. On this piece of paper, and remember, you could have chosen any word. I wrote the word strong. Now, I do want to check one thing because a lot of you weren't too sure. So would you turn to page 224? This the one with the initials on it. Double check that the word strong is written on the paper. And it's a great book. It's about kids that fly and walk through walls. And sometimes the... What? 224 is gone.
Of course.
That's strange. Where could it have... It's about kids that fly and walk through walls. Is that your initials right there?
Yeah.
Let me just...
Whoa!
A house moment. Hang on a sec. There we go. I'll take this off. So anyway, you'll need this page. Whoever wants the book can keep it as a souvenir. I'm not quite sure if it's for kids yet, but maybe one of you would like to read the story, and that's all for you. And that's booked. Thank you very much. Okay, hi everybody, and welcome to the explanation section of the DVD. Now, I'm really thrilled to share this secret with you. I would recommend you watch the entire explanation for all the bits and pieces and all the stories that go with this, because you might watch this and think, I'm never going to get away with this, and the reality is that I did this at the end of my stand-up act in every private party I ever did throughout the entire 90s. So, and I still carry the gaff with me to this day, and if I get a chance to do a book test, this is the only one that I'm going to do. So there's a lot of variations on the gimmick and the gaff, and we'll get into that in a moment. But first of all, I want to tell you where this came from. Al Baker had a trick called the dictionary trick, in which he had a dictionary, obviously. I'm actually just going to use a regular novel here, and a giant-ass prediction in a giant-ass envelope. Now, somebody in the audience yells stop as you move the the envelope along the book like this. So let's say someone yells stop, say here. It can be anywhere, it doesn't make any difference. And we just put the prediction into the book to mark the page. Now, that's all that happens there. Then you have somebody walk up on stage and have a look at the first word of the book. Can you see it right there? Can you see that first word? Good, right, that's the word right there. I'm assuming the word is, let me have a look at it myself, ground. All right, so the word is ground. That's the word that the envelope gets put in, the prediction gets put into. So then what happens is you look the person in the eyes, you read their minds, and you say the word is ground, which is kind of cool in and of itself. And then for the big finale, you open up the envelope, and inside there is a piece of paper with the word ground written on it. So this is the inspiration for my book test. Here's the gaff. Are you ready for this? The reason that you need an envelope that's bigger than the book is because glued on the back of the envelope there is a single page. Okay, and of course the word right here is ground. No matter where they say to put the envelope, it really doesn't matter, which is why you really shouldn't use a dictionary. I never understood why I recommended to use a dictionary, because if you use a page from, say, the T's, and somebody says stop as you're right here, which would obviously be among the, the K's, it's going to be a little bit strange. So use a novel, and so the idea is it goes anywhere you want. Obviously you can see how this works. The page goes in here, the envelope goes into the book, you then break it open, like this, they look at the first word. Now, I thought it was a genius method. The only thing I didn't like about it was the prediction envelope having the gaff on the back of it. The size of the envelope made it a little unwieldy, and also the entire page. But also the fact that your prediction is in the envelope. That's your reason for having it. But the envelope can't be held by anybody, and it can't be opened by anybody because you've got the gaff glued on the back. So I came up with booked. Are you ready for booked? Are you ready to learn the booked method? It's really very simple, and it's a very easy gaff to make. And this is one of the reasons why we didn't make the gaff for the DVD. This DVD is going to be sold all over the world. You can make the gaff in 10 minutes, and in any language that you want to make it in. So I recommend that that you just party on down and make one of these. Okay, so you need a book, and let's say that here we go. This is the gaff right here. It's on top of a deck of cards. It's part of a deck of cards. It's very casually part of a deck of cards. But the gaff is this. Here's a queen of clubs with a flap on it, and on the other side of the flap is part of the page of a book. Okay? What happens is you would casually, very casually, pick the card up from the deck, have somebody say stop, stop. You stick the card into the book, you're going to bookmark it. I always say when I'm performing this, let's mark a page, let's bookmark a page. I don't mention the playing card, and I just say let's bookmark a page. So somebody says that. Now, at this point, the card is in here, and the great thing about using the gaff that's on the face is all you need to do is line up the corner here with the corner there. Okay? And it kind of just looks like you're being nice and neat about it. So it goes into there like this, and you say, now you can move the card anywhere you want in the book. It really doesn't matter at all. Anywhere, let's say it goes right here. Okay, and then you simply break the page. Now obviously you can see here that the gaff is a different color to the page of the book. Here is where borrowing the book at a party is actually an advantage. I'll show you why. Have a look at the first word on that page. Got it? Now, did you even notice the color of the rest of the pages? No, because as I bent it open like this, my hand was covering the join, and the person who's looking at the first word is focusing here. They're not focusing on the rest of the book. When I first came up with this idea, I was blown away that I got away with it, because I remember thinking to myself, wow, how am I going to do this if somebody presents me with a book that's kind of yellowed? The reality is no one knows what the inside of any book looks like. It comes from somebody else's library. So you send one person to the library to bring the book, then somebody else tells you what page to bookmark, okay? And then a third person looks at the word. And you make a big deal out of saying, I want you to peek at the first word. We'll do this pretty quickly because I don't want to get accused of seeing it or seeing the word reflected in your eyes, or maybe somebody over your shoulders sees it and codes it to me. So here, look, have a quick look. Here's the word right here. Got it? You want another look? And that's all you have to do. Then you just take the card out, toss it back down onto the deck, and you are ready for the finale. What you're going to need are 2 cards that are duplicates. Kings of clubs are fine. One of them you might want to make a blank back because you're going to glue a page on it. I've never had a problem with the page showing through, with the back of the card showing through the page, but if you want to be careful about it and make it a white back. But so you need 2 duplicates. You're going to need some glue, some scotch tape, and run to your library in your house. Grab yourself a book that you don't mind ripping a few pages out of, okay? And this is how you're going to make it. First of all, when we do the force, when we run the card along here, you're going to probably end up, by the time somebody says stop, anywhere past the middle of the book. Because you go like this and you say stop anytime you want, right there. So what I like to do is I like to take a page round about, should we say here, this is my 208 in here. And also, this is not a very good example of the kind of book I usually use. The one that I like to use is like this, because it has a page number here. Now, you may think that's a detriment, but it's not, because it enables you to have 2 different effects. It enables you to force a word, and you can go to somebody else, and they can look at the page number. So you can use this gaff as forcing a page number for, say, the Hoy book test, if you know what that is. Anyway, what you do is you take a page out of the book, pick a nice, interesting word. She, it's not so exciting. Anyone, that's not good. I want to get something a little bit juicy, not too colloquial to the book, because if you because what happened to me once was I was doing this and somebody got a very specific book, and I had an interesting word on my gimmick, and when we predicted it, everything went great, and the person who got the book had read the book and said, I don't remember that word being in the book, and it was like this thick, paperback, and started to page through the book looking for the word. Only ever happened once. Luckily, his friends got really bored waiting for him to look through the book, and they got him another drink, and he just kind of closed the book and went, what the hell, that was amazing. But just so you know, so you don't want to use a specific name or, you keep it fairly generic, but interesting. So something, for example, here's something, Now that's kind of a fun word, because you can, as you're reading their mind, you can say, you know what, I'm getting something, I'm focusing on something, you're focusing on something, which is interesting because the word is something. Isn't that something? Now you've got a presentation, okay? So let's go with something. Take this, here's the best way to do it. You rip the page out, and then what you want to do is you want to cut the border off the King of Clubs, which I've done right here, and then put some glue on the back, which I've also prepped earlier. Glue this. Here's your king. You're going to glue the page onto the back. Now, I like to do that. Here's what I like to do, which is a little bit extra work, but what the heck. It goes over, the page goes over the edge of the card. Now, why do I do that? It's simply because I like to make sure I have a nice clean, I make sure that it's glued on here, but also when I cut the gimmick, it's going to fit perfectly. You can see right here. So as I go down, now, there's no doubt that the paper goes to the edges of the card, because the last thing you want is a piece of playing card flashing when you're flashing your gaff. So there we are. Here is here's 1/2 of the gaff. Additionally, you're going to need a little bit of scotch tape. So a small piece here. Stick that onto there, double it over, and then line that up, that edge there, with the King of Clubs. You just simply hold it and crease it a little bit, and then place it on the edge of your king. Down. Lock it in. And there you have one booked gimmick. And you can do the same thing for the back or the diagonal version or the Z formation, whichever you want to do. So simple to make. Make a bunch of them so you have a bunch of different words and fun words, you know. I actually, and I'll tell you something else, I was doing a party once, and this is one of the problems with doing gigs in Beverly Hills, is that often there's going to be authors in the audience, and I had a guy go and grab a book that he wrote. It's probably not going to happen to you, but it happened to me, and it was a photo book, and so it was a book about the Doors, actually, and then there was nothing at all, no print that looked anything like this. So he went and got the book from his library, and then I got somebody else up from the audience to take a peek at the word, and I, you know, the thing is this: you can be as tight as you want. So, look, this is the gaff that I just made. All right. It goes into, let's use this book right here. So somebody says stop as you run the card down. Someone yells stop. You push it in right here. Because every page pretty much had photos on it, I mean, there was some text, and it was a pretty thick book, I just kind of went like this. I went really, really tight on the corner to show the word. And I made a big deal about, I'm going to flash it. Got it? Okay. And for some reason, I was lucky. The word was generic enough on the gaff that it didn't create any suspicion. I mean, there was a little furrowed eyebrow for a second, but, you know, that's one of those things. So that's the gaff. Let's have a look at a few variations before we get into the routine of it. This gaff, as you can see, is on the face of the card. This is probably one of the most popular ones, one of the ones that I like to use. Popular for me. What I do like about this as well is that when this gaff is in a deck of cards, which is, of course, if you've been doing a couple of card tricks, is a very casual thing just to have it on the table down there like that. And then you can just reach across and just, we'll just grab a card out of there. It also works really well as a locator card. So you can use it for another trick. If you need a thick card, a locator card, something you can feel, maybe a think stop, right? You know think stop, where you have the gaff on the bottom of the deck. You then have somebody choose any card. Let's say it's the two of spades. And when you drop this on, the gaff goes on top of the two of spades, right? It's your key card. So the queen is above the two of spades. Now, as you go through the deck, you just say to someone, think stop when you see your card. As soon as your fingers feel the gaff go by, you stop. Don't say anything, just think stop. Think stop. Think, that's it, two of spades. There it is right there, because I felt the gaff right here. So you can use it for additional effects. Just make sure that it ends up on top of the deck. So that's the face gaff. There is a variation on this that I kind of like, and the variation, I have so many different versions of these gaffs, but the variation on this is here. This is a double gaff. How do I mean a double gaff? Well, it kind of works on a Z. Can you get in close and see that? Okay, so essentially I have one page here, and then if I turn it over, I have another one here. Okay, what does that enable me to do? Well, it means that as I'm doing the effect, somebody can say stop. Let's say they want to stop me here, and they have a look at this word, right? Can you get in close on that word? That's whatever it is. It's against. So that's the word on that side of the gaff. If I take the gaff out and turn it over, I can put it somewhere else in the book and have a completely different word seen. So in this case, it's same. It's a little bit what somebody would call gilding the lily, I guess. But the reality is, it gives you an additional bit of freedom. It enables you to say stop, have somebody say stop. All right, we'll bookmark the page there. Have a look at that word. Are you happy with that word, or do you want to change it for another one? Great, right? So now somebody's not only got the opportunity to go to a different page, you can actually have a different word when they do. You just take the card out, turn it over, and there it is right there. So that's a very simple gaff. It's just the two pieces of paper glued together in a Z formation on here. We'll get into the exact making of these in a few minutes, although I'm sure just by looking at it you can probably figure it out. So that's the two variations on the face gaff. Now you can also make the gaff on the back of the card, and for example this one says the word among. I have it on the back. There's a nice kind of like an inch cut off of it there, so that when it goes into the book and you line it up on the back here, you line this up here, you get like a nice, you've got like, whoa, it's alive, don't let that happen. We should definitely keep that in, by the way, just to show you that handling is very important. So it goes into the book like this. You can then break it open and you can show the page. This gives you a kind of also a thicker gimmick, if you will, or a longer gimmick, so that it shows more page when you open it up. Not that that's important, but there you go, that's there, right? Now, that's one back gimmick. Another gimmicked back which I have is actually the full back on the gimmick. This gives you a huge amount of face time on the gaff. It obviously goes into the book, and you line it up like this, so it's just a white border. Okay, it's very, very tight. And now when you open it up, look at this. That's a lot of page, right? That's a lot of page showing. This is all personal preference. I really looked at these gaffs and said, well, how else can I make this, and what is best for the situation? What is best for me? I personally like having the gaff on the face of the card because I can just grab it off the top of the deck. Obviously, if the deck's face up, you can grab this one off the top of the deck. Another gaff which I like to use is this one. Okay, so this is interesting because I put the gimmick, it's a little smaller, but I put the gimmick at an angle, and there's a reason for that. I kind of like the idea of saying, we'll just shove this in the book anywhere. Somebody just says stop, we'll shove it in there. And what that does, it gives me kind of a screwy, kind of a messy look to the gimmick. So we're not perfectly aligned with the page. This is kind of interesting psychologically, because if the card is aligned with the page, I suppose the idea of the page being on the back of the card and lining up with the book could possibly appear in somebody's mind. But having the gaff at an angle like this means that when you line it up, it lines up apparently quite messy, and yet you still get your peek at the first word moment right here. Something to be said for this. I also have one that's made, so you can see this one here, for example, is made, and I didn't bother matching the back. I didn't bother to do that. This one, I matched the back so that it kind of blends in. Most of these gaffs are not going to take an extended viewing period, so it's a matter of, you're just going to like show it, you're going to flip it around. I actually kind of like to do this. So for example, with the queen that's right here, I'll pick it up and then I'll say, you sir, would you just stand up for a second? And you're just flashing the card casually, as opposed to, here's the card. Just flash it and then you're home free. This is a variation of gaff that I rather like, and it enables somebody to hold the gaff and the card and push it into the book themselves. It's not entirely necessary, but the idea, and this is how it's made, it's actually a double card with a flap that fits perfectly inside. So the way it's made is you take a card like this and you cut a window of the jack, okay? And then you glue the page on this side, obviously here. So this is made so that obviously when you cut it with a razor blade, it fits perfectly inside. This edge is not cut. So this is then glued on the back of a regular playing card. And now you have a gaff that pops out when you need it, but when you start the effect, you just push it all the way in. It kind of locks into place because you used a razor blade to cut it, and somebody can hold here and they won't feel any extra gaff or piece of playing card. In case you really want to use that, that's also a variation on that theme. So many gaffs, so little time. There's a few others that I want to get into. two other, if you go away from playing cards for a minute, because some of you may not want to use playing cards, you may not have playing cards with you if you're doing a mentalism act and that's the way you are, you don't want to use cards. A business card is kind of a cool idea. This is my business card, and from Magic Days, and what you can see is I've just simply made a gaff on the back of the business card. Now I haven't bothered to try and make it blend. There's really no point in that. But you just grab a business card, grab a couple of business cards, and on the first one, write your prediction, hand that to someone. Take the second one, stick the business card anywhere in the book, and you're home free to do your flash of the first word. Okay? You might also want to think about not having the gaff on the white back, but having the gaff on the face. And that way you could borrow a couple of business cards from somebody, and if somebody gives you a white-backed business card, you can switch it for your gaff. I mean, if it's white on the back, it's white on the back, so they'll think it's their business card. So the business card gaff is nice. You carry it in your wallet. You can use it at any point, at any time. The other idea, of course, is to use, we're talking about bookmarking a page, but to use a bookmark. A couple of variations on this idea. This is the gaff here, and you can see that it folds out like this. Okay, so it's there, it's here, and it folds out here. You can also make it so that it swivels out, and that's another possible variation on it. And the idea of this gaff is, as you put it into the book, what happens is it swings out, and then you can line it up and show the page like that. Okay, and then you pull it out, and you can get rid of it. So again, it's kind of a nice, it's a very natural. If you go down to Barnes & Noble or any famous well-known bookshop in your neighborhood, they always have their own personalized bookmarks, so you can get one of those. And again, as you put it into the book here, you let this flop down into position. You might, if you feel like it, you might be able to have it here for a second, and then under cover of behind the book, you can let the card flop into your hand so it's already open. That would look like this. So you're here, you've got your book, you ask someone to stand up, and now it's already popped into my palm, and so I'm ready to put it into the book in this position. Okay, so then it goes into the book and you're ready to go. For me, I will never use the bookmark. I much prefer using a playing card or a business card, but that's that gaff. All right. Here is a close-up view on all the gaffs, just to make sure that everything is absolutely clear. Here's one of the backs. This, as you can see, is cut and glued onto half a playing card, or the back here, which blends in, enables you to do this. You can now kind of move it very quickly, flash the back if you need to. Don't make a big deal out of it, but that is one of the gaffs. This is how the gaff looks if you're using the gaff, the flap on the face of the card. Notice that the Scotch tape is on the inside and none of it is on the outside, so you don't get a flash of any tape. Here we have the two variations where it's the flap is at an angle. This one right here is designed so that the flap blends into the orientation of the card. And again, not entirely necessary. You can just do this if you wanted to. This is kind of a cool little line right here. I'm sick of hearing. You can get a lot of fun out of that if you have someone read the first line to themselves. The one gaff which somebody will hold looks like this. It's double thickness. This pops out. So before you do the show, you want to make sure that you take your nail and lock it in. Okay? Once it's locked in, you can hold this, and you're not going to have this happen. But you want to make sure that that's locked in there, So then they are able to push it into the book themselves if you choose that option. The other option, don't forget, if you feel like you need a lot of real estate on the page, is to use that. Okay. There is the business card. And remember, we talked about also putting the gaff on the other side of your business card and adding it to some business cards that you borrow from the audience. Because all white business cards look the same on this side, right? Therefore, you can make it look like you write a prediction on one person's business card while you take another one, which is yours, that you've loaded into the pile, and you use this one as your force. And then there's the bookmark. The bookmark looks like this, flops that way. You can also have, if you want to, this is an idea, you can also make the bookmark on a pivot come out like this. If you want to make it swivel out, it's kind of cool because it enables you to, you can actually take it this way and pull it out into your hand like this. Again, this is my least favorite, but I wanted to put it out there as an option for you guys who don't want to use playing cards. That's the bookmark gaff. Another thing that you might want to think about when you're making the gaff is to rip a page out of a gaff book, one that has specially printed words like the mother of all book tests, and make the gaff out of that, because if you do, what you're able to do, let's say this isn't, but let's say this was made out of the mother of all book tests, you can flash this portion of the page and have somebody think of any large word they see. Now you've expanded it to not just think of the first word on the page, but think of any word on the page, and then you can use the pumping system to get the word. Or alternatively, you can have let's say that in this section that you've ripped off ripped out of the mother of all book tests, there's 5 large words. Those large words you have in a multiple out prediction envelope, so you can pull one of them out. The other thing you might want to think about also is just look at the first line of print in your gaff. For example, in this one, the first words are among the assumption. Now, what I am able to do with among the assumption, which is kind of interesting, is have someone say stop. I put the card in there. I say, look at the first line and think of any word on that line. Now, the reality is there's only 3 words on that line. 2 begin with the letter A. All right, so if I go like this, so let's say they chose what's among the assumption. Let's say they chose the, right? I can say, does it start with, it's a small word, right? If they look confused, then the word is among, because among is a medium-sized word, assumption is a long word, and the is a small word. So just by the way they react will cue you as to what the word is. If they go, no, it's gonna, no, then you immediately know it's a long word. You can also pump by saying, does it begin with the letter A? But I prefer to say it's a small word because I want to go for the direct hit on the middle word there. All right, so that's an additional technique you can add into the gaff that you make. Pretty cool. Now I'm going to show you how to make the Z formation double gaff. It's pretty cool. Have a look at this. For this, you're going to need one regular gaff, as I've already told you how to make. Okay, as you can see, and the first one right here, you can see it's page 110, because we want it to be in the first third of the book, and the word is time. So that's your regular gaff right now. You also need an extra flap. This flap has a page number that is later, way later in the book. In this case, it's 218, okay? And of course, your little bit of Scotch tape right here. So here's a very simple way of doing it. Here is the gaff, page 110. It opens up to the right. What I'm going to do is turn it 1/2 turn clockwise, and then take the gaff, the second gaff, and take that onto the front of the card. like this. Okay? And here you have a Z formation gap. And how does this work? Well, I'll show you. The first time you open it right here is 110. And then if I turn the card clockwise and open it again, it's 280. It's almost like a Jacob's ladder of card gaps, if you will. It's very, very useful. The handling is simple. The handling is simple. You borrow a book from someone, they bring it over, and then the first time you want the word to be chosen in the first kind of third, because your page number is 110. In case somebody notices that, it's a little bit. Of course, if you want, you can always choose. You can always choose pieces of page that don't have numbers in the corner. I like to have the numbers there in case I want to use them. But you hold the book above your head, you riffle, someone yells stop, stop. You put the card in as a bookmark, you have the person come forward and look at the word. Page 110. Now, the word in this particular case is time. Page 110, time. And I say to the person, are you happy with that word? Do you want to pick another word? It's your book, your choice. Should we do it again? Yeah, I want to do it again. Okay. Now, if you notice what I did was I turned the card 1/2 turn clockwise. Now I'm set ready for the second word. So I go down the book something like this. This time instead of going back with the thumb, I riffle forward with the card. Say stop anytime you like. Stop. Now I'm in the back section of the book, which is great because my page number is 280. And so I'm in the back section of the book. I put the card in like this. And now I'm ready to show the second. If you want to have a look at that, you can see it's page 280. Okay, different word. So here you have one gaff that forces two words out of any book. I mean, if you wanted to, you could go over here and have one word chosen and go over there and have a second word chosen and still get them both. It's a pretty amazing gaff. Also, it enables you to force a 3-digit number. So in this particular case, 110 or 280. So you have 4 different choices, 4 different forces from one playing card. Now there is one other gaff that I'm going to get to later on. It's at the very end of the DVD. It's called the hardcore gaff, and it's hardcore for a reason, and you'll see when you go there. But I'd love you guys to watch the rest of this first, really get a feel for this trick before you go to hardcore, okay? So a couple of more things about these gaffs. First of all, loading it from a deck of cards. Let's say that you've done a routine, and let's say that you don't want to have your gaff, your gimmick in the deck, right? You don't want it there because it's going to get in the way of everything else. So a very simple technique, which I used a lot, was to have the gaff in my pocket, right here, and then at the end of the routine, and because my gaff is a queen of clubs, at some point, I always thought it was kind of fun to force a queen of clubs on somebody in the audience and do something with the queen of clubs, whether it's a mind reading thing. Slap it on top of the deck and put the cards away for a moment. And as they go into the pocket, they go behind the gaff. So now the gaff is on top of the pack. All right? Then you can start your book tests, and if you do a routine with some gaff books at the beginning, finally you send someone to go get one of their own books, one of their regular books, and then we just want to bookmark the page, and that's when you just reach into the pocket and casually pull a playing card out, flash it, you're ready to go to do the routine. Okay, that's another way of bringing in the gaff. Let's have a look at a couple of the ways that you can have people select the page, depending on how intimate your show is. I'll use the gaff which has among the assumption, being the first word on the page, the fourth word. There's a few things you can do. If you're fairly close, you can simply go up to somebody and you can say, look, I'll just run the card along the corner of the book, and you just yell stop anytime you want, and then you just stick the card in. Okay? Then you give them an opportunity do you want to start again? Do you want to go for a different section in the book? You're more than welcome to. I don't want you to think I controlled you. I don't want you to think that. I did, but I don't want you to think it. So at any point, if they want, you can do this as many times as you want until they're satisfied that you've marked the page. What's an interesting thing to do here, by the way, if it's a slightly larger audience, is to go up to the person in the audience and say, let's just mark a page. Here, let's just mark a page. Say stop. Now, you put the card in yourself, but nobody else in the audience sees that. So then you can hold up the book here, and you can say, all right, you've marked the page. This is the one that you wanted, you pushed the card into. This is the one that you wanted. So then the rest of the audience gets the impression that that audience member actually pushed the card into the book. The other way of doing it, if you want to be a little more dramatic about it, is to hold the book above your head. Hold the card and have someone in the audience yell out, "Stop, stop." And I do this because with one hand I'm doing that. And if I was going to do it here, obviously I can see the first word. So if I can see the first word where someone yells "stop," it's not amazing to an audience member that I can read that, even though later on you've got the prediction. I don't want anyone to think that I get a glimpse of that word. So I hold the book above my head, like this. Say someone yells "stop, stop," you shove it in there. Just shove it in. Are you sure that's where you want to go? We can do it again if you want. And you do that a number of times until they're satisfied, and then you can open it up and you've forced your word. Obviously, another way of doing it is to do it behind your back. I mean, there's so many variations on this, but this is how you get the word chosen. Now, if you are using a gaff that has a page number, then you also know that it has to be within a certain section of the book for it to look realistic, if you're going to use that page number. And the great thing is, normally if you start here and you go, someone yells "stop," you haven't started at the beginning of the book. You've started what is that, like a fifth of the way in maybe? So they don't even have a chance to go with this section of the book. And then you simply run your card all the way down until they yell "stop." Okay? And that's it. Let's talk about the prediction, shall we? Because you are using a forced word, and it's just one word, the sky's the limit. Literally, the sky's the limit. You can hire someone who writes in the sky with a plane and smoke and everything to write the word out for you as a prediction. If you want to do an incredible publicity stunt, take a newspaper man to a library, send him into the public library, and you can say the theme of this is, getting our kids to read from public libraries, or similar crap like that. And you can send him into the library to get any juicy paperback he wants. He brings the paperback out. You force the word using the booked gimmick, by which time your pilot has written the word in the sky. It's ambitious, I know. But let's say you don't have the money to hire a pilot. What else can you do? Well, obviously, you could write the gimmick on a piece of paper, mail it to your host, the person who's hiring you for the party, with instructions in another envelope. So you write prediction on the envelope, it goes into another envelope with a note that says, "Please do not open the prediction, we're going to use it at the party." So therefore, the envelope is in the host's possession the entire evening. You can have it sealed in a box before the show. You can have it written on a playing card. There's so many ways. You can have it tattooed on your arm if you want to. If you know the old trick where you scratch the name into your arm with a toothpick and then you rub it and it comes up in red, you can use that. Or maybe even a different idea is that you write it with wax and you do the ash trick and it comes up. My personal favorite, and the only way that I have ever done this trick, is the ball of paper idea. I got this from Max Maven's Prism series, the colourful books, which are amazing. And there was a simple effect where he tossed out a paper ball and he had somebody name a colour. They said blue. They opened up the piece of paper and it said blue. I love the idea of the person making the selection already holding the prediction and they don't even know it's a prediction. Yes, you lose a little bit on saying it's here before we start. But the surprise element on this is gorgeous. In fact, as somebody starts to open up the paper, the audience is way ahead of you. They're already saying, no way, it can't be. And when it's there, it's just killer. Handling of this is very simple. A piece of paper is here. You toss it into the audience. Whoever catches it is going to go get the book. Before he goes get the book, he tosses that piece of paper to somebody else. That person stands holding the piece of paper. Person comes back with the book. The person who now has the piece of paper tells you when to stop. You put the card into the book like this. Well, let's use the correct gimmick just for the sake of continuity, shall we? This is the among gimmick. So the second person who's now holding the piece of paper has told you where to stick the card. Hopefully it's been a physically capable place. They then toss the ball to somebody else. That person comes up and takes a peek at the word. Now you've got three people involved. The person who picks the book, the person who picks the page, and the person who picks the word. You're really involving the entire audience, and that ball is being tossed around to everybody. You have them look at the word. In this case, the word is among. You have them focus on it. focus on the word, read their minds, and then when you get it, it's big. I kind of like the one that we made when we were making the gaff, the one that said something. I think that's a really fun word to force. Anyway, so you read their minds and you get the word, and everyone thinks that's the end of the trick. And then you say, wouldn't it be weird if I knew what word you were going to choose from the book? Because if you think about it, if you really think about it, I would have had to know what book you were going to take from the library, what page you were going to choose, and what word you were going to choose. Now, admittedly, there's a little bit of double talk here because you just asked that person to look at the first word in the book. Later on, people will remember he just opened any book to any page and he predicted the word. So you say to the person, all right, so you remember, but it'd be amazing, right, if I actually knew in advance what that word was. You've been holding that piece of paper, that balled up piece of paper in your hand the entire time, right? Now, the audience already knows what's going to happen. You say, has anyone touched that? 3 people have touched that. Did you mess with it? No, you just tossed it to him. You tossed it to him. I haven't touched it since you had it, right? Yeah. Wouldn't it be weird? What was the word again? Among? Open it up. Build it up. Build it up. They open it up. They show everybody. It's a killer finale. You don't need to do anything else. So now that you've seen a performance of Savage Tituba, let me explain why it's called Savage Tituba. Obviously, the savage part comes from the fact that I'm using this brilliant book, Savages. And this is what you can do with Booked if you use Booked along with your own book. Obviously, I created it to use it with any book. But there is a tremendous advantage to using your own book. For one thing, the gaff matches the color and print of the page. This enables you, when you stick the gaff into the book, this enables you to almost do this. I mean, obviously you don't want to do that in case it's a blank page, but you can kind of do that in the show. You don't have any discoloration issues. It's a very clean show of the word in the page. It also enables you to do Savage Tituba. Savage Tituba, Savages Tituba, because in Anneman's Practical Mental Effects, he has a trick, a book test. There's a great chapter on book tests, and one of them is centered around a storyline of Tituba, who was the slave who started the witch hunting epidemic in Salem. And it's kind of a very interesting storyline. And you ask the ghost of Tituba, who is your spirit guide, to write the name of the word chosen in a book, scratch it onto a piece of paper that someone's holding. Now, in the Anneman version, I believe that the word is chosen using a number force. You don't actually approach the book. But with Savage Tituba, you can take it a step further. And then once the prediction is opened, where you put a piece of paper and a little bit of pencil lead, which is put into the envelope, when that's opened up, instead of the paper and pencil lead, inside is the page ripped out of the book. And when they open up the book, you can see where the page was ripped out and the piece of paper that was in the envelope is now in the book. So you have a transposition. What I've come up with using the booked gimmick is a very clean way, essentially, of having any word chosen in a book and that page vanishing from the book and appearing anywhere you want it. So for Savage Tituba, here's what you need. You need 2 books. These were $7.99 each, but if you want to, you can go to the 99-cent store where they're going to have amazing books, and you can buy 10 for $10. So you've got plenty of duplicate pages. But you need 2 duplicate books. You need a Switch wallet of some kind. I use the Horwitz wallet, Basil Horwitz's wallet, which I got from Hank Lee's. It's a great wallet. I think they still make them. The benefit of this particular wallet is that when you show the piece of paper in there, you can have the wallet closed by the spectator and put it into their pocket. You don't even have to touch it. So it's a beautiful advantage. And then you're going to need some playing cards, some scissors, some glue, etc., etc. Here's what you do. First thing you go is you pick a page. I picked page 256. The word was scratched. I like that word because in the presentation I could talk about, gosh, somebody keeps rubbing their fingernails into me. They're scratching me. Is it scratching or is the word scratch? And they go, scratched. Okay, close enough. So it's fun, it's a physical, it's an active word, it's got some energy to it. You rip from this book, you rip out page 256. Right? Okay, get rid of that book. Make your gaff with page 256, which is what I did right here. You can see that the word is scratched on the gaff. Okay? This is in your pocket, wherever you want it to be. Take your other book, which as of right now is totally normal, turn to page 256 and rip it out, but of course rip out just half the page, leaving that piece right there. Then I want you to break the book in a number of different places so that it looks like it's been read, you know what I mean? And then also, and by the way, you should read this, it's a brilliant book. And also it makes it easier for the person to, when you're having them look through the book, it makes it easier for them to find that, because the last thing you want is this. Confined to page 256 when you're building up to your finale. This is the book that you need. You need this, you need your gaff, you need your wallet, whichever switch wallet you want to use. You can use a double envelope as well. So on the one side I have the paper, and on the other side of the wallet I have the page rather, and on this side of the wallet I have the piece of paper. And it's that simple. Now, let's look at how you put all this together. By the way, if you're going to use Savages, please make sure you're over the age of 18, because if you haven't read the book, I can tell you it's rather raunchy and a little bit wild and very, very crazy. Chances are by now you've already seen the movie, which if we're lucky and it's half as good as the book, you're going to know what this is all about. But I don't recommend that you use this book if you're doing kids' birthday parties. And anyway, if you're doing a kid's birthday party, why are you doing a book test? All right, so an additional presentation piece that I want to give you is this. Here's the thought on it. The thought is this. The piece of paper, you can you show it and you apparently write something on here, right? Or you can say you're going to get your ghost to write something on here, your little spirit guide. You fold it up, put it inside your Switch wallet, and then you close it. And then you go, wait a minute, I almost forgot. Would you put your initials on there for me? You haven't put your initials on the paper. Later on, when they take it out of their pocket, and either you or the assistant, depending on which wallet you're using, opens it up, there's the paper. But what's interesting is that inside the paper is the folded page. And it's the initialed paper. Now, of course, this is done very simply using an age-old technique. Let's see, the folded page goes inside the paper. That goes inside the wallet here, so that the folded edge is on the outside. Okay. Now, on the extra, the other section of the wallet is the normal paper, piece of paper. You show this to be blank. Maybe you may even want to put like a little bit of pencil lead in there or something. Then you put it inside. You close up the wallet for a second and you go, oh, would you put your initials? And I've already switched it over to the other paper. Okay? This is already the one that has the page in it. So would you put your initials on there as well? And now you close it and put it down. And now you've got the page inside. An additional idea for producing the page uses the original method that we used for the prediction, which is the paper ball. I put the page inside the paper and then crumple it up. Now you're in a situation where the ball gets tossed around, the person comes up, they choose the page, the word, you get the word, and it's you know, you say the word scratch, and they say no, the word was scratched, and I say, are you sure? Would you check? It's 256, right? Would you check? They open it up. 256 is gone. That's strange. What could have happened to that page? And then you go, by the way, you've been holding that ball the entire time, right? Now you have a transposition of a page into somebody's hand. It's pretty powerful. And that's Savage Tituba. So nobody as of yet has asked me to do Savage Tituba with one of their books. thank heaven, because it sounds like it would be an impossible challenge, right? Well, it isn't exactly if you have time to prepare their book. Obviously, that's rarely going to happen. What I've come up with here is a completely impromptu way of preparing the gaff if you're out on the road. Let's say that you've flown to a gig, right? And your luggage has been lost, and you need and you want and you've been challenged to do maybe booked. So you want to grab a book and you want a playing card. These two things are available at any Rite Aid, anywhere you want to go. You're going to any supermarket. You're going to be able to find playing cards. You're going to be able to find books. Now, here's how you make the gaff: an impromptu version of booked. I'm going to go to page 248 right here. Okay, I'm going to rip out page 248. Actually, let's make it. Let's go for more exciting. Well, we'll rip it out 248, but we'll do a nice jagged, easily identifiable tear. Okay, and now I'm going to bend that back here. Maybe you're doing this in the bathroom of your gig. I don't know. Fold the gaff cleanly, very cleanly, so that it's thinner than the playing card. So actually, what I want to do is I want to fold it a little bit more there, I think. Well, I'll do this. I'll put the two corners together. And I'll fold it one more time. And then I'm going to crease here and here. This is now held behind. I think you can see where we're going with this. It's now held behind the playing card. This can be on the table, under the deck, on top of the deck, so that when you lift it up, you're lifting the page with it. So now you get the idea of what we're going to do. You have your page, you have your book. Somebody says stop, you stick it in there, you line up the page, folded page with the book. Okay? Now at this point, this obviously can now be at any angle you want it to be. Doesn't make any difference. You have the person come up on stage or in the audience, and you bend it back and you have them look at the word. So now they're actually looking at the word on the folded page. If you want, you may even want to have them initial it. You may even want to have them initial the corner of the page. This is a very powerful moment. Initial the word, ring the word, put their initials next to the word, whatever you want to do to make it apparently a unique page. Now, having done that, you pull it out. Now I want to make a point here. When you push the gaff in, it doesn't have to line up here. Okay? Because when you pull this back, the page will buckle a little bit, and you can put your finger there. So it's covered. But what that enables you to do is when you let it go, it's much easier to grab that gaff as you pull it out. Now you now have, behind this playing card, an initialed page, apparently freely selected and already folded from this book. It's a great position to be in. You can do whatever you want with it. You can go to put it here and then decide to put the card over there. Now I've loaded that page into my pocket, right? I could have, if it's a more intimate show, I could reach over, have somebody stand up. I could drop this page behind them. You can do anything with this. Put it into your wallet. Put this away into there, and it goes into your card and wallet. So later on, you could have this page appear in a sealed envelope in a wallet. Their initials. You do whatever you want with it. You can palm it off to, you can hand it over to somebody. You can palm it off to an assistant. So they can then go and take the page outside the house and glue it on the window. Choice is yours. But the great thing about this impromptu booked / Tituba effect is you can make it in seconds. So when you get to the party, you can actually ask someone if they have a book, And then, you know, can they bring you a book you can use later on? And you can prep it right before the show and ask them to keep hold of it. And then when you do the show, say, now, before we started this evening, I asked the host, the owner of the house, if I could borrow a book. Do you have a book? Now they bring the book back up to you, and you've done some pre-show work on it, obviously, but you're ready to go. So again, you go here, they say stop, the gaff goes behind. You show, and because it's from the correct book, you don't have an issue with coloration on the pages. They look at the first word. Here, put your initials on there, real quick. Put your initials on there. That's great. Got it? Okay. And now what I do is I take out the playing card, and I think all right. So we'll continue on here. You hold on to the book for me, and now I'm in a situation where I can get the word, and then if I want to, they can open up the book. Page is missing, and wherever I put this, wherever I dumped it, it fits, and it's their book. It's the host's book. And don't forget, you've got the initial on the page. It's one of my favorite points on this almost impromptu method is that the page is initialed and vanishes from inside of a book to wherever you want it to go without any sound whatsoever. It's kind of creepy. It's kind of cool. Why book tests? This is a very interesting question. We all like to have reasons why we do the magic and the mentalism that we do. Who cares about picking up a book and opening it to a page and you telling them what word they're looking at? If you could really read minds, would you do something so banal? The answer is yes. And the presentation and the patter theme that I used for book tests over the years came from a guy that I met when I was 18 years old. I was DJing in Yugoslavia. It's a long story. I won't bore you with it. But he was visiting the hotel with his wife. His name was Sanguine. And he was kind of a very religious, spiritual man. And he was talking to me about his experiences in astral projection. Like you do, you meet people and they tell you the most unusual stories. So he was talking about astral projection. He said, and I met a man once, he said, I was reading a book. He said, I remember this clearly. He said, I was reading a book and this man was able to astrally project out of his body, walk behind me, look over my shoulder and look at the words that I was reading. Now, imagine, this is a great starting point for a presentation, isn't it? It's physical, the idea of being able to leave your body. It's somewhat creepy, looking over somebody's shoulder. And it's proof that you have astrally projected. You're not reading somebody's mind, you're behind them, looking at the word they're looking at. It's something to think about when it comes to a presentation. Mind reading is so 2010, isn't it? I mean, here's another presentation idea. The idea that, why would you want to read somebody's minds? Most people's minds aren't worth reading, and the fact is that most men think about sex every 7 seconds, so it can get a little creepy. So I don't want to read anybody's mind, but I do want to know what they're reading. The government, your government wants to know what you're reading. They would love to be able to look through your eyes and know what you're texting someone or what you're emailing someone or what kind of books you're reading. If I'm going to date someone, maybe I'd like to know what kind of book they're reading so I can have good conversation when we have dinner, or so I can get an idea of what their personality is and who they are. Because, we are only truly ourselves when no one else is watching. So here's the idea. So this is the patter theme. This is a reason. This is a technique, a presentational, psychological technique of making a book test valuable to the audience. Yeah, they'd like to know what that guy is reading. They'd like to know what their husband is writing in an email to someone. Well, I happen to have practiced this ability, and I have the ability to actually tell you what you're looking at. So the presentation goes. It's something to think about. Give yourself an emotional hook. Make it more than just, I'm looking at a word in a page, and the word is smoking. Thank you. Make it, okay, hold on a second. I'm leaving my, oh, wow, that was weird. I just left my body. Keep looking at your word. Keep looking at your word. I'm coming over behind you. Do you feel anything? I'm just kind of blowing on the back of your neck. Can you feel that? Yeah. And now I'm looking over your shoulder at the word. Could you move your finger a little bit to the... Thank you so much. The word is smoking. So we were talking about Savage Teachable, and for those who don't want to use a wallet, try using this instead. What I did was I ripped a page out of a book. I'm going to use this word right here as the force word on the duplicate, on the gaff, you know. But it's blank on this side. And what that enables me to do is screw the paper into a ball so that all the print is on the inside, so that it now just looks like a blank piece of paper. Now, out of a similar paperback, wherever I can find it, I find a blank page or a blank half page like this. This now matches this, you see? So you can screw this up into a ball too, so it kind of matches when it opens up. I think you know where I'm going here. So when you talk about, you have this one's finger palmed in the hand, and when you talk about Teachable, you talk about how you've been teaching her to write, and you want to see if she can write. So I'm going to give you this piece of paper, and as you're talking, and you're talking about your spirit guide and then Teachable, you apparently screw it and you switch it for the one with the writing on it. And there's a few techniques that you can use. Very simple technique is at one point you have it here, you pretend to take it, and you just do this. So you just kind of go like this as you are screwing it up. You give it to somebody to hold in their hands. The other one is called the Dimanche change, which looks like this. So this is the blank one, and this is the piece of paper with the words on it. So to do a Dimanche change, your thumb comes over, grips it like this, and pushes the other one up, loading a blank one into finger palm. And what's great about this move is it's as a coin change. I remember reading this in an old magic book. As a coin change, it's not very natural. But as a paper ball switch, because you're squeezing the ball, it makes a lot of sense that you're doing this, and it's one hand, so it's very disarming. And then you give the paper to someone to hold. Okay? Now, the most they're going to suspect is that a word is going to be written on the paper. What they're not going to expect is that they've been holding the actual page missing from the book in their hand the entire time. It's a lovely, intimate way of doing Savage Teachable. Hey guys, now you might notice in the performance section that we kicked the idea of Savage Teachable up a notch by having the page actually initialed. I want to talk about this. This was a natural outgrowth of the impromptu version that I told you about. First of all, I thought it would be kind of nice and a lot easier to handle if there was a little pocket in the back of the card that held the folded page, which is what we have here. This makes life so much easier, obviously, when you're handling the gaff. The gaff can be on top of the deck, it could be on the table, and then you can just pick it up quite easily like this without worrying about it. You've got your book, you've got your gaff now with a little pocket, and you also need a loader wallet. Right here, so this is a huge one by Supreme. It's very, very big, makes life very easy. Pull the slide out, have that in your pocket like that. Now, the routine is very, very simple. You're going to have a page chosen by pushing the gaff into the book, opening up the little page and having them initial the gaff right there for you. Now, of course, it's a very unnatural thing to hold the book like in this position and have somebody initial it. But this is why, at the beginning, you have a premonition word that you've written on a piece of paper that you want the audience to initial. So you've got someone in the audience and you say, I'm going to have you choose a word from a book. First, I've got a piece of paper here, premonition. Just here, take a pen and just write your initials on there. Now, by doing this, and insisting that this is the way it's done earlier, that will be the way it's done later. No one's going to think anything of it. It kind of makes an unnatural action natural by repeating it. So that's what you do there. So the routine, the sequence is very simple. I go up to someone, I show the premonition, I have them initial it, then they keep it. The premonition is also a great time misdirection, as you'll see. I then take a card to bookmark a page. Someone says stop, we put the gaff into the book. I open the book so they can see it, and then we have them initial the corner of the gaff. Once they've initialed it, I pull the card out. Now you notice I didn't even look at the book. You don't look at it. Don't look at it. Don't go like this, because that's just going to give away something unusual is happening. The reason they're initialing the page Have you initialed the page in case you change your mind or in case people don't believe that I got the word right, and then you hand them the book. I want you to hold on to the book. It's the most important part. While you're saying that, you load the entire thing into your wallet here. You see? It just goes into there. So as I'm talking, I put the card away, and I've loaded the card and the page into my wallet. So, you have a bunch of effects now that are going to come one after another in rapid succession. The first thing you do is you ask them the page number. You say, page 184, page 184, the word was great. And it was, and you get a round of applause. And then you say, do you think there's any way I could have known you were going to choose that word? And they say no, and then you have them open the prediction, and the word on the prediction is great. Wow, that's 2 times as great. And then you say, I know some of you are maybe thinking this guy's being a nice guy and he's just saying yes. So why don't you open the book to page 124, whatever the page was, and show everyone the page you initialed and the word great. He then opens the book, which they always remember they had in their possession the entire time. And when he does open it, he finds the page is missing. That's weird. Well, you know, sometimes magic happens. Now, depending on what book you use, for example, if you use a book called The Lakeshore, you'll see that's a book about kids with special powers that could fly, maybe pass through glass or whatever. So it gives you a patter theme and a reason for doing it. Whatever your patter, whatever book you're going to use, it doesn't matter to me. Whatever you want to do, make it yours, make it original. You end up here, in this position. Once you end up in this position, you say, you know what, this is very, very strange. In my wallet, I have something special. You reach in here, and you'll notice that all you need to do is to leave the card inside, and slide the page out. And as you slide the page out, open it like this. Okay? And then for the big finale, you show that it matches. So also with Savage Tituba, there's this idea of gaffing up the gaff card even more. I have a couple of wallets that I want to show you. This one is made by Jerry O'Connell in England, and it loads the card into a credit card wallet inside your wallet. Credit card wallet, which I'll show you in a second, that has a blank window and a black background. This is the real man's cards to wallet, and also you end up loading a card into something like this, which has a black background. Why is this important? Well, I made a gaff recently like this. What I did was I took some black construction paper and I made a little pocket envelope, glued it on the back of the card, folded up the page that I ripped out from a book, and it goes in there like that. Why did you do that, Steve? Well, because if I have, I need to put this in the pocket so that it holds it up. If I have this wallet, which is the Jerry O'Connell wallet, here ready to load, and I do what we've already discussed, which is, would you please initial the prediction? Thank you very much. And then I have somebody say stop, stop, when we go through the book, and they look at the first word on the page, and then I have them initial it. Now I'm in a position where when I pull the card out, which has the gaff here, and it goes into the wallet as I'm talking, I load it into the O'Connell wallet. A little bit later on, when I pull it out, this happens. Check it out. This is very cool. Inside the wallet, there is a little envelope, and inside there is a plastic window, and behind the plastic window there is a page, and you don't see any gaff. The playing card vanishes into the wallet because it has a black bag. And finally, I want to talk about the card on the window. This was an idea that actually occurred to me while we were taping the explanations sections of this DVD. I talked about, oh, how, you know what, you could throw the book at the window and have the page stick on the window. And that was the non-initialed version. That was just earlier coming and sticking the duplicate page on the window, right? When no one was looking, like card on the window. But I then came up with the initial one, which you saw in the performance, and I have to tell you, this has been a blast. And I'll tip it to you right now. It's very simple. If you haven't figured it out already, this is what happens. The gaff is in the gimmick, and by the way, you can use any pocket. It doesn't have to be the black back to hold it. So the gaff is in the gimmick. That is on top of the deck right there. You have a friend in the audience, and this is great for a casual thing. You have a friend over here somewhere who, in a moment, is going to become your stooge, and you've set this up with him. Essentially, this is the choreography of the piece. First thing I do is I have the prediction initialed, and I hand it to someone over here. So somebody is handling and holding the prediction on this side of the room. Then the cards are on this side of the room, on a table, on somebody's coffee table, whatever. And of course the gaff is here. So I pick up the gaff and I have the page chosen, and then I have them initial the gaff right now, okay? And then very casually I take out the card, I drop it back on top of the deck, because it's all about the book. And then you bring attention to the book. And you hand somebody in the center of the audience the book. Now, you name the word, you bring attention to the word, you memorize what it is. Is there any way that I could know? Now you move, physically, go over to the person who has the prediction over here. Have you had this in your hands the entire time? Yes. Have I touched it? No. Everybody's watching here. While you're doing that, your stooge, who is over here, simply takes the card off the top of the deck, which has the signed gaff, goes outside and sticks it to the window. It's so cheeky. I love it. And I love that you saw in the tape, you saw everybody's expressions. Meanwhile, you're over here. You open up the prediction. You say, this is amazing. I can't believe this. Somehow I knew the word was going to be electric. Isn't that incredible? It's incredible. And I know you guys don't believe me, so open up the book. I open up the book and the page is missing. And then you bring attention to the window. Now you notice when I did this, I used a book called The Lake Shore. You know, the Lake House. The only reason I don't have the Lake House here is I always give the book away for the audience member to keep as a souvenir. It's the final coup de grace after you've made a page rip and disappear from a book they've been holding, after you've predicted a word they've chosen from a completely ungaffed book. You give them the book to keep as a souvenir, along with the ripped page. It's a lovely moment, so you're going to need this in order to figure out what happens in the story. Anyway, you bring attention to the glass window, you go over it, you do the bit where you try to pull it off the glass and your fingers go over it, then they realize it's outside. It's a little additional effect. That idea, by the way, was Hugh Laurie's when we were doing the episode of House, and we did the card on the other side of the glass. He did this thing like this, which really sold the fact that it wasn't stuck on the inside. It was brilliant. And so we use it on this. So that, and then when you go outside of the glass window, you have the perfect applause cue when you hold up the page and you bring them together. You don't have to say a word. They can see the pieces match, and it's really true magic. And I think if any one of you out there does private parties, you'll immediately see the value of this. And by stooge, by the way, it can just be your assistant who happens to be with you that night who does it. You've got so much misdirection going on here. You could have a clown walk in and do it. That gives me an idea. All right, now earlier in this DVD I was talking about hardcore, the hardcore gimmick. It's a way of doing booked without any extraneous items, just the book that you borrow. So therefore no playing cards, no business cards, no bookmarks, nothing. By the way, when I came up with this, I thought there was no way. Again, I'm not very confident with the stuff that I come up with, and I'm like, oh, there's no way I'm going to get away with this. But this is, it's surprisingly deceptive. You have somebody grab you a juicy paperback. You bend it like this, and you go through. You say, just say stop anytime you want. And they say stop. You sure you want to stop right here? This is the page you want to stop on. You sure? Okay. So you have somebody. That person gets up, and they come up to you, and you say, I just want you to have a little peek at the first word. Got it? And I believe the word is Megan. Amazing, right? No playing cards, no business cards, no bookmarks. How does it work? Well, it is just the gaff. It's just the flat part of the gaff, actually. Here's what makes it work. You might think, oh gosh, I've got to palm this. How can I palm it? The reality is there is no palming because the handling of the book covers it. Let's say, for example, you've done your book tests, okay? And you have a couple of your books. You just make sure that you have this piece of gaff, which, by the way, is here. And I put a large M on here so you can follow the first word, the orientation. It has to be down to my right, down and to my right here. It's underneath the book here. Somebody goes and grabs one of their books. Say this is the book they grab. All I do is I put that in my hand here and I take away my book. And I've still got this here. I'll do that again for you. So we're here. I take their book. And I do this and I get rid of mine. This gaff is here at the bottom of the book. What I do is I turn sideways like this. Okay, now you can't see it, right? And I buckle the book here to start flipping through. Now I've made the gaff so that it's, the average paperback is round about this thick, and this one is just like a little bit thicker than this page. Here's what happens. As I fan the book out like this, I simply slide the gaff on here. Now, I'm flipping through, someone yells stop, and then that gaff slides in. Okay? Nobody's going to see this. You're here, I go like this, just say stop. Now, doesn't that look clean? Here's my reality, and here's where I am. Somebody yells stop, stop. So they yell stop. I then slide. I'm sticking my fingers in there. Don't worry about sticking your fingers in there because you're saying, is this where you want to stop? Is this the page you want? They say yes, or if they want to start again, then you can just palm it out and start again. But now, here's the maneuver. You go from here. I had it on the right page. It should be, by the way, it should be this way. It should be with the writing side out, not with the playing card side out. So you're here like this. This is kind of a good way to remember this. It slides in. You're going to do this. Pivot up. That's all you're going to do. This hand is already pinching the book. And the right hand is on the ends up on the corner of the. You can see it ends up on the corner of the gaff here. So I'm here. Okay, and as I go, okay, would you come up on stage? Now, as you're waiting for that person to come up on stage, give them a round of applause. You're holding the book open. It's a natural thing to do. You just kind of very casually pivot this around. You put your finger on the corner so you can feel that corner there. Okay? And then you just bring the whole thing up. The great thing about having your finger on the corner is it enables you to line it up perfectly here so it doesn't go over, it doesn't project out. And also your finger is here, your left finger is here so that this doesn't happen. Again, you're at this position. You pivot it, and then you simply bring it up. At this point, squeeze with your left hand, open it there, let them see the word, and you've got a mind-reading effect and a prediction with essentially no extra apparatus. Now, one more time I'm going to go through this, and then I'm going to show you the elaborated version. So your gaff is here, right? The M is, or the first word is, if you're looking at the gaff, is to your left, up here. It's at the back of the book. I turn this way in order to have somebody over in the audience here yell stop. And the reason you're turning this way, by the way, is so that you're not looking at the page. Somebody yell stop. Right there, you sure? Okay, would you come on up, please, sir? Thank you very much. And then I want you to have a good look at the first word on the page. Now, I should point out, I'll do it from this angle as well, and then I'm going to show you the elaboration. So you're here, someone yells stop. I go from here to here. Somebody, would you come up on stage? That gives you a little extra time to bring that up. Now I'm going to break it open and have you peek at the book. Now, you now have a gaff in somebody's book. So what do? Well, you can elaborate on this in this way. Okay, here's the elaborated version of hardcore with the description on how to dump the gaff, because that's really important. So you forced the first word on the first person, and you tilt the book like this. So you tilt the top of the book toward you. And as you do that, you slide the gaff down a little bit, and you push it in. Okay, like this. So it ends up going into the book here. What does that give you? Well, immediately that makes this book a short book. So you can now force two other words. Those two words being this word on this side of the gaff, which is the first word on the left-hand page, and then the last word on the top line of the right-hand page. And you're using a flash technique. So somebody says stop, you can stop. You kind of time it, stop. It's very easy to do with that gaff in there. It's very easy to do. So you force the first word, and maybe that's your prediction. You go over to somebody else and you go, would you say stop for me? Again, remember, you're using somebody else's book. You can say stop, stop. Have them look at this word. While they're looking at this word, you casually look down and you can see, getting close, you can see the word about right there. That is the word that's going to be forced on the other person. Okay? So, I go like this. You look at this word. This word is rising. This word is rising. Okay, so I bend it up here so you don't flash the gimmick. This is your word. So the first person looks at rising. At this moment, I don't know what that word is, but I do know the person over here is about to pick the word about. So now I go to the second person and I riffle the other way and say stop, stop. And I show that I say look at the top line, look at the last word right here on the top line. They see the word about. As they're looking at the word about, I'm peeking over here. Can you see this? Coming close. I'm peeking over at the word rising while they're looking at about. I have seen this technique used in a number of book tests using little finger breaks and sleight of hand and maybe also where you cut the page short. So it's a fairly well-known technique, and I highly recommend that you use this. But there's a little extra technique, and I don't know if anybody's done this, but I think this is kind of fun. I forced the first word, okay, using the gaff. I've pushed it in here to make this now into a book, a short book. And I say, I'm going to come over to you in a minute, and I'm going to have you say stop and look at a word. And then I'm going to come over to you and I'm going to have you say stop and look at a word, but we're going to do this very quickly. Are you ready? And I run over and we force it, and I run over and we force it. Now, what have I done here? First of all, I've set up that we're going to do it quickly. By doing it quickly, psychologically, somebody's not going to wait forever before they say stop, which is a pain in the butt when you're using a timing force technique. And the other thing is, by saying I'm going to come up to you and go stop, you say stop, I've already seen one of the words. And now I'm going to come up to you and have you say stop. And I've seen the other word. So now I know the two words are rising and about. So now when I go to the first person, I can say, you say stop, stop. And I'm not looking, just look at the first word there. Now I'm going to go to the second person. You say stop, stop. Look at the word there. Okay, you got it? Right. So now it's so clean because you apparently have been looking away the entire time from the first word, which is using the gaff, which is a force, to these two short card forces. Now you're ready to reveal the second and third words, of second and third assistants, the words that they've chosen first. Then you go back to the first person who you forced the word on, you get that word, and you've also predicted it. It makes a much larger routine out of such a simple gimmick. At this point, you're going to need to get rid of the gaff, and there's a number of ways that you can do it. What I usually do is loosen it up a little bit here. Just by sticking I'll just flick through the book and just kind of stick my thumb in there a little bit. And then I'll just go and drop this in my bag, drop the book in my bag. And as I hold the book, as it's going into my bag, I simply let the gaff fall out, and then I bring the book back out and go, oh, wait a minute, this isn't mine, is it? No, you better take this back. It's a very simple way, no sleight of hand, nice simple way of getting rid of the gaff. If you want to, you can stick your thumb in here and you can palm it out. That's also a possibility if that's what you want to do. If you want to, I don't think it's worth the work, quite frankly. I think you can, it's kind of fun to do that. Just kind of drop the gimmick into your bag, like that. And that is hardcore. Okay, so I want to talk about the hardcore version that I did just there with the prediction. And we're doing this while Jenya's out walking the dog. This is lovely. I have here, okay, this is the book that she chose from the library, from her library. And this is the gaff that I used. And I used a slightly different loading technique with this version. First of all, there's a little paper clip on the prediction. Obviously, the prediction says arms, and on the hardcore gaff, the word is arms. This is folded up to give you that nice snap open, which is a Max Maven idea, and it's a fabulous way of revealing, as opposed to just kind of like opening a prediction slowly, having this bam. It's powerful. It's very powerful, and I want to thank Max for that, for creating that. And then you have a little paper clip, which you put on here, and then in the paper clip you place the gaff. Now you're going to place it. Now, here's something that I did for fun that you don't have to do. I took a photocopy of my hands and I glued it on the back of the gaff so that when it's in, it's almost invisible when it's in finger palm, and you'll see why I did that in a minute. But the gaff is in your hand, or rather, this is the orientation, so that the word is at the top. All right, the word arms is at the top when you're holding it in your finger palm, and that goes underneath. Just clips underneath the paper clip like that. So now at this point, you can show the prediction. You can flash both sides. It's very, very clean. You don't have to worry about palming anything. You're going to come back to that. You send someone to go get the book. They bring back the book. And what actually happens here is you just kind of, maybe you can see this from underneath, but essentially I take the prediction in my left hand and I leave the gaff under the book. So at no time are you actually even palming it. Okay? So that, and you hand out the prediction to somebody. They take hold of that. And from this, and again, you've seen me explain this, but I'll go over it one more time. As I bend the book here, you can follow the gaff here. Now, the reason that I had here, the reason I had the photocopy of my hand, because if somebody's on this side, they might get, if this moves here, they might get a flash of white right there. But when you have the fingertips there, it's just enough to make it look, I get a kick out of it, it's just enough to make it look invisible. So, anyway, so you flip through the book like this, right? And you say stop, and they say stop, and you push the gaff into the book. And then as you're talking about how you don't want to look, and you don't want to look at the word, your finger pivots up the corner. You bring the right forefinger brings the corner up to the top here. That's the first thing that gets lined up, and then you pivot the gaff all the way up there. At this point, you can open it, and I have a horrible habit of having my finger over the word, but so try not to do that. But so that's there, and they look at the word. And then the other thing that I did in this particular performance was I stole the gaff, I palmed it out, and it's very simple. As I close up the book, I put these two fingers on the gaff and I slide it down to about the middle. I close the book and simply pull it out. I pivot it out into the palm. That's all I do. So I pivot it out into the palm, toss the book, all the tension, all the eyes will follow the book as it flies through the air and lands on the table. And you have the gaff and finger palm, which you can go to your pocket, you can drop it off, you can lap it, you can do anything with it. And now you're all ready for the big build-up, which is the opening of the prediction. And you saw the reaction. It's very fast, it's very clean, and I hope you like it. If you're doing the hardcore, and some of you may have thought about doing this already, but it's possible to use the hardcore technique and do the signed vanishing page. Essentially, you can walk into a house, you can borrow a book from somebody, and and then say, if you go up to the host and say, do you have a book that you don't need that maybe I could use in the show and take home afterwards? You want to say that because you're going to destroy a page in the book, so you want to make sure that it's a book they can do without. And most people in their homes have paperbacks and books lying around they don't care about, right? So they'll then bring you the book. You then, while you're setting up your show, you rip out a page, right? You rip out a page from the book, making a nice clean, where is it? Here it is. You're making a nice distinctive tear Once you've ripped out the page in the book, you can toss that book back on the table or give it back to the host and say, why don't you hold on to this actually? And when I call you for the book, you can just bring it up from, tell everyone you got it from your library and it's your book. Meantime, in that 30 seconds that you've had it, you've ripped out the page and you've folded it up. This is going to be your hardcore gimmick. So essentially what we were doing with an earlier routine is this would be pinned under the prediction. Instead of borrowing the book, obviously now you have the host bring forth a book, but they will guarantee that it's from their library. Again, the setup should be, let me see, I had it right the first time. Yeah, there we go, there's the setup. It's right there. Alright, so I'll give you an exposed view of loading the gaff on the book. It's really simple. What happens is that the prediction is in the right hand. You take the book from the host with the left. There's kind of a clip between the first two fingers here, and that's it. Your left hand takes the prediction, dropping the book on top. So once more from this point of view, just so that you can see, you basically swap hands. The book and the paper swap hands, but you leave the gaff underneath the book. Hand out the prediction. Now, at this point, you can go into the hardcore handling, which is here. As you say stop, they say stop. You load the folded page just like you did the hardcore gimmick, bringing it all the way up like that, having them look at the page number, and also have them remember the first word. And just in case they forget, or just to make sure that no one's going to trick you, have them initial the corner of the page. Now the great thing is, because this was ripped from the book it's actually coming from, the gaff was ripped, you can have no problem with discoloration. So you can have the pages in the gaff, so you can kind of have a nice display there. It looks really real. So they initial the page, okay? At this point, as you close up the book, you're going to do the steal that I taught earlier on in hardcore. And the steal is essentially these two middle fingers stay on the corner of the gaff, and you tilt it up just a little bit towards you like this to cover this thing seen here. And as you do that, your fingers slide down to the middle of the book with the signed page, and then pivot it out into your palm as you close the book and toss it down. Now, what you could do now, you have a signed and folded page that was apparently freely chosen from a book owned by the host of your party. Make the most of it. Let's say, for example, you want to do the mind reading bit first where you get the word. Move to the other side of the room, and in doing so, drop this paper, signed paper, behind someone, or like where it falls behind them in their seat, or drop it into a fruit bowl, or you know what I mean? The choice is going to be yours. One of the things I think would be really cool is you stand on the other side of the room from the person who's thinking of the word and holding the book, and when you get the word, that's the first effect. And then you say to the person with the prediction, show everyone what was written on the prediction. As they open up the prediction, you've got all the misdirection in the world to dump this anywhere you want to put it, or even pass it to a stooge, as we showed you earlier, so that you can stick it on the outside of a window. The choice is yours. You had a very clean selection of the page, and it's a very clean steal, it's a very easy steal, and you're home free. And so there you are. And so you could even, I think one of my favorite ideas, I've never tried this, but you palm it off to your stooge, to your assistant, and that person runs upstairs above the place where you're doing the party, opens up the paper and drops it on the floor directly above where you're doing the party, right? So here's the effect. So then what you do is you've got the prediction, you get the word, you've got the prediction, you grab the book back and you go, watch this. You toss the book up so it just hits the ceiling, and when it falls down, nothing's happened. But when they open up the book, they find that the page that was chosen and the word is gone. Maybe I threw the book a little too hard. What's directly above the lounge? Why don't you run up and see if there's anything in that room? You imagine the effect when the host runs up and comes down with the signed page that fits their book. It's killer stuff. So you can see that just by knowing these techniques, the original booked technique, how to make the impromptu booked technique, how to do the hardcore version, and this, which is your hardcore Pegasus page, you should never at any point not be able to do a version of booked. Okay, here's a couple of little warnings if and when you're going to do actually any version of booked. You want to make sure that when you flip through, now you'll notice if you were watching hardcore, at one point I flipped through and actually stopped on, well, this of course would not be a good thing to stop on, but actually stopped on a page where it started a lot lower. Now there's no way that you can stop this from happening. It's one of the reasons why when I use the gimmick I like to just run my card along the corner and then stick it in. Okay, and again, even if this is a completely blank page, you'll remember that you putting your fingers across the joint, where the part where the gimmick and the page kind of coalesce, you're kind of doing this to flash the gimmick. Okay, so that's that point, so you can do that. If you need to do this, just make sure that you tilt it away. If you're having it above your head, tilt it away so that as you flip through, nobody can see what page you stop on. Okay, so that way you can stick the card in before you bring it down. The other thing is, when it comes to the hardcore gimmick, I was using this large letter M just so that you could follow the orientation of the gaff in the book. Do not make your gaff like this. Please make your gaff like this or like this. Make sure that it's just a simple word. Right here, in this case, it's the word smoked, which is another great word, right? Smoked, because you don't want anything that's going to stand out font-wise that is obviously different to the book, okay? But again, you know, make sure that when you, the great thing about hardcore, by the way, is that you're going to say stuff like this. You're going to be away from the audience, but when you come back to here, don't tilt it like this, tilt it like this. This way you can set up the gaff. You can be holding it above your head the entire time when you're getting it aligned, and then you can bring it down for the person to look at. Okay? All right. You've been warned. I hope you have enjoyed Booked as much as I have enjoyed putting this together for you. I think we've explained it in a lot of detail, probably a lot of repetition, but I want to make sure a lot of the points are nailed home with this. Two other things. And I've left this for the final word. You know, a few of my friends, I showed this to a few of my friends recently, including the amazing Max Maven and John Armstrong, and was informed that that the original version of Booked, which I came up with 20 years ago, is very similar to something created by Juan Tamariz. And I always say that if you're going to create the same material by coincidence as anybody else, make sure it's someone as brilliant as Juan Tamariz. And I spoke to Max and a few people about you know, the similarity with the gaff at the very beginning of taping this this trick for everybody. And you know, we came to the conclusion that there were so many spin-offs and so many variations and adaptations of the original gaff that even though it was independently created, it was worth putting this DVD out so that you guys can see all the possibilities of this trick, because it may have gone unnoticed, and hopefully by publishing and putting out the DVD of Booked, you will now know and notice this effect. But I would like to say a big thank you to Juan Tamariz for being just such an incredible performer and magician, and having the foresight to create the same thing that I did. Great minds, or at least a great mind and, you know, a normal mind, think alike. The other thing that I wanted to bring attention to, and this is kind of the biggest secret of Booked, and I've kept it for the end of the DVD because I want this to go to people who are serious about learning this effect and doing it properly, and not to the people who just peruse the DVD and then throw it away in their drawer. When you make your gimmicks, okay, and you're going to thank me for this one day. As you know, we're becoming more and more of an international world, and this has happened to me a couple of times where I've gone into someone's home and I've asked them to bring me a book, and it's been in a different language. You need to be prepared. You must always be prepared. And it's not complicated to do so. You simply make booked gimmicks in different languages. So make one in Spanish, one in Chinese, one in, I would recommend right now, it seems to be the common languages would be Chinese, Japanese, Spanish, English, French, and Russian. And if you have, what, 6, 7 gaps, and if you make them up in order, you just have to get your Russian, your Spanish friends, your Chinese friends to let you know what that first word is on your gaff and what it means. You're home free. I mean, think about it. Now, doesn't matter what language they bring you, you're going to be able to do the effect. You might even want to think about making a gaff up in Latin, just in case somebody brings you an old textbook or something. It's only ever happened to me once. Somebody brought me a Spanish book, but I was really happy that I had the gaffs in my pocket, and they were simply just in my pocket, and I was able to reach in and grab the one that I needed. Just a pocket switch, not a big deal. No one knows what's going on, right? But really, if you're going to do booked and you're really going to do it as a challenge effect and you're going to ask someone to grab a book from their library, you need to be prepared. Make yourself up 6 or 7 or as many languages as you can. Make yourself up booked gaffs so that you're ready to go. And you're going to blow people away because, you know, when you think about it, the fact that that person will go, yeah, I got the book from my library and it got one in Spanish and he got the word. It sells that the word came from the book. And that's really what this is all about. So I want to thank you all for buying the DVD and learning this effect, and I hope you have as much fun with it or more fun with it than I've had with it. I mean, you just got to carry a few gaffs around with you and you're ready to do a kick-ass book test. So all the best. I'll see you on the next one. Ciao.